The moon was cold and gray. Jagged rocks cut shadows across the surface. Humans and Azari soldiers gathered in a large, circular arena. The air smelled of metal and fuel. Silence hung over the crowd as everyone waited. At the center of the arena stood Ethan, the youngest human warrior present. He was only 20 years old and smaller than many of the older soldiers. His armor was simple and scratched from training exercises. He felt nervous and out of place. "Are you sure you are ready for this, Ethan?" asked Captain Allen, an older officer who had trained him. Ethan swallowed hard. "I have to be ready, sir. I do what I must." Allen nodded but looked worried. "Remember, this is more than a fight. It is about honor and diplomacy. Do not make a mistake." Ethan nodded again, but inside he felt unsure. He had not asked to be here. Another human soldier had been injured before the summit, and Ethan was sent at the last minute. He was not chosen for skill, but for availability. The thought made his stomach tighten. Above the arena, the sky darkened as sleek Azari shuttles descended from a massive ship orbiting the moon. Their surfaces shimmered like silver liquid. The crowd of humans stepped back, and the sound of engines echoed against the rocks. She was 19, taller than most humans, with silver eyes that seemed to see everything. Faint, luminous markings ran along her arms and neck. She moved with grace and authority, and her guards followed quietly, their weapons resting at their sides. The humans whispered among themselves, "Look at her armor. It is alive. She is beautiful and dangerous." Ethan looked up at her. He felt a strange mixture of fear and curiosity. Lyriel's eyes swept across the arena. She did not smile. She did not speak. She studied the humans like they were objects she needed to understand. Her guards shifted slightly behind her, waiting for her command. The elders of the Azari Council spoke to her quietly. She listened, but said nothing. She was here to choose a bonded champion, as tradition required. Normally, this would be an Azari warrior, strong and loyal. But today, she walked slowly among the humans. Each soldier's eyes followed her. They whispered and held their weapons tighter. Ethan's heart pounded. He tried not to look nervous, but he could feel the sweat on his forehead. He knew the older warriors were more experienced and stronger. If she chose one of them, he would not be surprised. He kept his head down and tried to breathe evenly. Lyriel stopped in front of some tall, broad humans and studied them for a long moment. She said nothing. The older soldiers straightened, hoping to impress her. Ethan could feel the tension rising around him. Then she came to him. Ethan's stomach dropped. He looked up, meeting her silver eyes. She did not blink. She studied him quietly. He felt like she could see his thoughts, his fears, and his doubts. He wanted to look away, but he could not. "He will be mine," Lyriel said, her voice clear and strong. The words echoed across the arena in perfect human language. She pointed directly at Ethan. The crowd went silent. Humans stared at him in shock. Older warriors looked angry and confused. Azari guards and nobles murmured among themselves. Ethan froze. His heart beat faster. He did not know what to say or do. Captain Allen stepped forward. "Princess, he is very young." Lyriel lifted a hand, stopping him. Ethan's mind spun. He felt trapped. He had been pointed out in front of everyone, declared as hers. He was not sure if it was honor or a punishment. People were watching him, and he could see whispers and judgment in their eyes. He wanted to run, but his legs did not move. One of the Azari nobles whispered to another, "A human. She cannot be serious." "It is her choice," the second replied. "Even the council cannot interfere." Ethan swallowed hard. He felt a mix of fear, anger, and disbelief. Why me? He thought. He looked at Lyriel. She was calm, almost unreadable. She did not smile, but her eyes were bright, with some kind of strange fire. Later, when he was taken to a private chamber, Captain Allen spoke to him quietly. Ethan, this is an honor. Even if it does not feel like it. She has chosen you to stand by her. Do not make a mistake. The humans must not insult the Azari today. Ethan clenched his fists. I did not ask for this. Why me? I am not ready. Allen sighed. It is not about readiness. It is about duty. Sometimes you are chosen for reasons you do not understand. Now, you must act as though you accept it. For the Earth. Ethan's jaw tightened. He did not like being treated as someone else's tool. He wanted to argue, to refuse. But he knew it would anger the Azari and risk breaking the fragile peace. Meanwhile, in her own quarters, Lyriel faced questions from her advisors. Princess, why choose a human? You should select one of your own people, said a stern guard. Lyriel shook her head. I choose him because he is human. Humans survive, adapt, and face impossible odds. He is young, yes, but there is strength in youth, and courage in uncertainty. Another noble sneered. He is untested. He cannot protect you. Lyriel's silver eyes glinted. Then he will learn. I will see that he grows strong. And maybe he will teach me something as well. In the private meeting that followed, Ethan and Lyriel were brought together with only a translator between them. The room was small and quiet. The weight of the arena's eyes still hung over them. Princess, Ethan said, his voice tight. You cannot just point at me and say I am yours. That is not how humans work. Lyriel's voice was calm. I understand how it seems. In our culture, a bonded champion is not a servant, it is a partner. We fight together, share danger, and stand side by side. You are not my property, Ethan. You are my protector and companion. Ethan's eyes narrowed. It sounds like you just said everyone can order me around. I did not, she replied. We will have rules, agreements, and respect. But yes, I claimed you publicly to show the council that my choice is final. No one may interfere. Ethan looked at her. He could feel something strange through the translator. Something he could not name. It was not fear, not pride, but a quiet, firm determination. He realized that Lyriel had chosen him not to insult him, not to mock him, but because she saw something in him, something he could not yet see, in himself. Their meeting ended with tension still in the air. Ethan was left alone to think. He paced the room. He tried to convince himself to hate the princess, to refuse her, to stay angry. But he could not. He felt a strange pull toward her, like a quiet warning that things would change, and that his life would never be the same. Suddenly, alarms blared across the moonbase. Red lights flashed. Ethan ran to the nearest viewport and saw shadows moving in the docking area. Unknown attackers had arrived. Human and Azari guards scrambled, but the attackers were fast and precise. Lyriel's voice came over the intercom. Ethan, get to my side. Now. He ran through corridors filled with smoke and sparks. He found her standing tall despite the chaos. She did not panic. Her glowing markings shimmered, and her eyes scanned the attackers. Without waiting, Ethan pulled her behind a bulkhead as a blast shook the room. Together, they fought. Ethan shot at drones, while Lyriel activated shields from her wrist device. Sparks flew as the metal walls bent under fire. Ethan realized that despite his fear, he could react. He could protect her. She could protect him. A ceiling panel collapsed, and Lyriel grabbed Ethan's arm. This way! She shouted. They ran into a side corridor, hearts pounding. Ethan felt a new clarity. Looking once, he understood that this choice, though terrifying, had forced him to act in ways he never had before. After the attackers retreated, the base was in chaos. The delegations argued, blaming each other, blaming the human, blaming the Azari. But Lyriel and Ethan were alive. "We have to work together," she said, breathing heavily. "If we fight, we survive. If we argue, we die." Ethan nodded, still trying to catch his breath. I understand. For now, we survive. Together." They looked at each other across the flickering lights. The arena's words, the pointing, the declaration. It all seemed less like a threat now. It was a beginning. A strange, dangerous, uncertain beginning. And for the first time in his life, Ethan felt the weight of being chosen, not for his age, not for his strength, but because someone saw him and believed he could rise to the challenge. The stars outside the moon's gray surface shimmered cold and distant. And Ethan knew, somehow, that nothing would ever be the same again. Ethan and Lyriel stood together in the quiet of the damaged moon base. Smoke still rose from broken machinery, and sparks flickered along the walls. The attack had ended, but the danger was not gone. Ethan looked at the princess. Her silver eyes were calm, but her body was tense. He realized she had faced the attack as fully as he had, without panic. "We need to know who sent them," Lyriel said. "This was not random. Someone wanted the summit to fail." "Oh," Ethan nodded. "We should start with the security logs. Maybe someone from inside helped them." They moved through corridors, stepping carefully around broken panels and exposed wiring. Human soldiers hurried to repair damage, while Azari guards scanned the shadows for more attackers. No one spoke much. The silence was heavy. Ethan felt the weight of the role forced upon him. He was supposed to protect the princess, to act as her bonded champion, and he did not feel ready. Yet he could not refuse. Later, in a private briefing room, Captain Allen spoke to him. "You did well back there. The princess is alive because of your actions. But remember, being her bonded champion is not only about fighting, it is about representing humans. You must stay calm, even when others doubt you." Ethan rubbed his temple. "I did not ask for this role. I am not ready to represent anyone." Allen sighed. "Sometimes the galaxy does not ask. It just puts you in the middle. You have to rise. Humans need someone who can stand firm when others falter." Ethan looked out the window at the barren moon surface. He thought of the arena, of the moment Lyriel had pointed at him, and of the chaos of the attack. He realized that refusing now would not make him safer. Standing with her, even if reluctantly, was the only way to survive. Meanwhile, Lyriel faced questions from her own side. Her mother's advisor and elite guards gathered in her quarters. "Princess, why choose a human?" asked one guard. "He is untested. He cannot protect you against our enemies." Lyriel stood tall. "I chose him because he is human. Humans survive when others fail. He may be young, but he has courage. He has instinct. He may teach us things we have not seen before." "One." The guard frowned. "This is dangerous. The council will oppose your decision. You risk dishonor." Lyriel shook her head. "Honor is not in obedience alone. It is in action and in courage. I will not choose someone because others expect it. I choose who I believe is strong." End quote. "I choose alone." Her advisors were silent. Lyriel turned and walked to the viewport. The stars stretched beyond the moon, distant and cold. She thought of the human before her. He was young, nervous, and unsure, but he had reacted quickly during the attack. He had saved her. For now, That was proof enough. The next day, Ethan was summoned to a private meeting with Lyriel. Only a translator device was present, and the room was quiet. The tension from the arena still lingered. "Princess," Ethan said, trying to control his anger. "You cannot just choose someone and declare them yours. That is not how humans see respect." Lyriel's voice was calm. "I understand how it seems. In our culture, a bonded champion is not a servant. It is a partner. We fight together, share danger, and protect each other. You are not mine in the way you fear." Ethan frowned. "It sounded like you were claiming me, pointing at me in front of everyone. It felt like I had no choice." She nodded. "I was showing the council that my choice is final. No one may interfere. It was not meant to insult you, but to assert authority. Humans and Azari view public actions differently. What is power to one may feel like ownership to another." He took a deep breath. "I still do not know if I trust this. If I am your protector, what do I get in return? Respect? Orders? I cannot be just a tool." Lyriel stepped closer. "You will have respect, rights, and voice. You will make decisions and act with me, not only for me. The bond is equal in purpose, though different in origin. We both risk our lives. We both gain responsibility." Ethan felt a faint pulse of understanding. Not full trust, but a small spark. Perhaps this was not entirely unfair. Perhaps he could survive this role without losing himself. Suddenly, alarms blared through the base. Red lights flashed, echoing down the corridors. Ethan and Lyriel exchanged a quick glance and ran. Outside the briefing room, smoke filled the halls. Shadows moved where no one should have been. Stealth drones hovered silently, firing small, precise energy bolts. "Get behind me," Ethan shouted. He grabbed Lyriel's arm and pulled her behind a bulkhead. Sparks flew around them. A panel fell, and dust filled the air. Ethan fired at a drone, hitting it squarely, but more appeared. Lyriel activated a shield from her wrist device, deflecting the shots. They ran down a narrow corridor, ducking under falling debris. Ethan felt adrenaline flood his body. He realized he was not just scared. He was alert, thinking, reacting. Every action counted. The princess beside him was not a helpless noble. She was strong, decisive, and dangerous in her own way. "Over here," Lyriel shouted. She led him to a side hatch that led to a service tunnel. The attackers had not reached it yet. They ducked inside as the blast from a drone hit the corridor behind them. Ethan leaned against the wall, breathing heavily. "This is insane," he said. "We could have died." Lyriel's eyes glinted. "We may still die. The bond does not protect us from risk. It only gives us a reason to act together. We survive because we fight, because we think, and because we trust each other, even in danger." He swallowed hard. Trust. That word felt strange. He did not fully trust her. And perhaps she did not fully trust him. But right now, their survival depended on cooperation. After the attackers retreated, they moved through the base to check for damage. Many systems were down, communications were weak, and some areas were unsafe. Human engineers worked alongside Azari technicians, but suspicion lingered. Someone inside must have helped the attackers. "We cannot assume everyone is loyal," Lyriel said. "We must find the source before the next strike." Ethan nodded. "I agree. Humans may be suspicious, but so are Azari. We need to check logs, talk to technicians, watch for anything unusual." They began their investigation. Ethan suggested human methods, using logic and observation. He examined doors, access panels, and the power grid. Small details gave him clues. Certain locks were opened at strange times. Security cameras had short blind spots, and some energy readings did not match expected patterns. Lyriel added her own expertise. She could read the behavior of Azari guards and technicians. Subtle gestures, eye movements, and tone of voice gave her hints. Together, they formed a system. Ethan noticed the technical signs. She noticed the social signs. They moved as a team, slowly uncovering the truth. At one point, they confronted a technician who had lied about his clearance level. Ethan's steady questions exposed his nervousness. Lyriel observed silently, noting how the man avoided certain topics and focused on others. Finally, he admitted that he had been instructed to leave gaps for the attackers. "Who gave you these orders?" Ethan asked. His voice was calm but firm. The technician hesitated, then said names that shocked both humans and Azari. A small faction of extremists, including some human traitors and Azari hardliners, had planned the attack. They wanted to kill the princess and make it appear as if humans were untrustworthy. Lyriel's eyes narrowed. "Then our next step is clear. We must stop them before they strike again. We cannot wait. They will target the summit next." Ethan felt a surge of responsibility. He was young, inexperienced, and unsure. But he knew now that his role was real. He could not simply follow orders. He had to act to protect her and to prevent more bloodshed. "We plan carefully," he said. "We cannot rush. We must predict their moves, block them, and prepare an ambush of our own, if needed." Lyriel nodded. "You have learned quickly. I am impressed. Humans are stubborn. Yes, but sometimes that stubbornness becomes strength." Ethan allowed himself a small smile. It was not pride, not yet, but recognition. He was no longer just the young soldier forced into the spotlight. He was part of a partnership that required him to think, act, and survive. For the first time, he began to understand the bond the princess had chosen. It was not a simple declaration in the arena. It was a connection born of trust, danger, and the need to act together. As night fell on the cold gray moon, Ethan and Lyriel stood together in the observation deck. The stars stretched endlessly, distant and quiet. No one could see the future, but they both knew that the coming days would test them beyond imagination. Ethan clenched his fists. He was frightened, angry, and uncertain. But he also felt something new. A spark of determination. He would not fail. He would not let the princess, or the humans, or himself, down. Lyriel watched him silently. She had chosen this human in the arena, not knowing what he would become. Now she saw a glimpse of his potential. He was not perfect, but he was alive, clever, and brave. That was enough for now. "We have work to do," she said softly. "And the galaxy is watching. We must be ready." Ethan nodded. Together, they turned from the window and began planning. Every corridor, every log, every step could be a clue. Every misstep could be deadly. But they were not alone anymore. They had each other. And for the first time, Ethan felt the weight of being chosen transform from burden to purpose. He did not yet know the path ahead, but he knew one thing. He would rise to meet it, because to protect the princess was now his mission. And to survive, he had to trust her, even if the trust was only beginning to grow. Azari flagship hung silently above the neutral moon, its smooth metal surface glinting in the dim light. Inside, the ship hummed with power. Ethan walked alongside Lyriel through polished corridors, trying to absorb the scale of the vessel. Humans had never seen such technology before. The ship was alive with energy, and every surface shimmered faintly as if it could sense the presence of those inside. Lyriel led him to a large chamber at the heart of the ship. It was circular, with glowing lines tracing the floor like veins of light. A group of Azari priests and engineers waited. At the center was a platform that pulsed softly. This was the chamber for the bonding ritual, a ceremony that would link the lives of the princess and her human champion. "Are you ready?" Lyriel asked quietly. Her voice was calm, but her silver eyes searched Ethan's face. He hesitated. "I think so, but this is different. I am not sure what it will feel like." She gave a small nod. "You will not be changed against your will. The bond is a connection, not control. It will let us share danger, sense harm, and act together. Nothing more." Ethan stepped onto the platform. He felt a strange warmth beneath his feet, as if the floor recognized his presence. Lyriel joined him. The priests activated the devices around the circle, and a soft hum filled the chamber. Glowing lines extended from the floor and wrapped around their bodies lightly, tracing patterns on their skin. The sensation was strange and electric. A priest spoke in Azari, and the translator whispered words in Ethan's ear. "The bond is forming. You will feel each other's heartbeat and pain. Act with trust." At first, nothing happened. Ethan felt a faint pulse, like a distant echo. Then, a sudden warmth spread through his chest. It was not uncomfortable, but different. He looked at Lyriel. She shivered slightly, her markings glowing brighter than usual. He realized he could sense her focus, her attention, her calm determination. "How do you feel?" she asked. He realized she could hear him without words. I feel connected," he said slowly. "Like I know you are here, even if I do not see danger yet." "Good," she said. "This is the start. We must learn it together." Minus devasing, the bond pulsed softly, like a heartbeat between them. It was not control. It was awareness. Ethan felt a faint echo of her thoughts and emotions. He could sense worry, pride, and determination. Lyriel could feel his fear, his curiosity, and a spark of stubborn courage. It was strange, but not unpleasant. It was as if the bond gave them both a hint of certainty in an uncertain galaxy. When the ritual ended, the priests stepped back. Ethan and Lyriel looked at each other, a new understanding between them. "So," Ethan said, trying to speak normally, "we are connected? Like some kind of warning system?" Lyriel smiled faintly. "More than that. We can sense each other in danger. It will save lives. It is not control, but it is guidance. We must learn to trust it." Outside the chamber, the human delegation watched. The whispers spread quickly. "The young warrior has survived the bonding ritual. He will now act as a real protector. If he fails, both humans and Azari will pay the price." Ethan felt the weight of eyes on him. He wanted to hide, but he knew he could not. He was now visible not only to the Azari, but to the entire human command. The next days were filled with training. Ethan learned Azari combat techniques, their formations, and their weapon systems. At first, it was confusing. Their movements were precise and different from human fighting styles. Ethan struggled, but he had an advantage. Humans were unpredictable. He used his own instincts and clever tricks to supplement their techniques. Soon, some Azari warriors began to nod with respect. The young human was learning fast. Lyriel watched him closely. Sometimes, she corrected his stance. Sometimes, she allowed him to improvise. She began to appreciate his stubbornness. He refused to give up, and he thought differently from her warriors. She realized that his human perspective could be a strength. During a training session, a low alarm sounded. Ethan froze for a moment. feeling the faint echo of Lyriel's alertness through the bond. He turned and saw her scanning the corridor. "Something is wrong," she said. "I feel interference in the systems. Someone may be trying to breach the ship." Ethan's heart raced. "Again? I thought we had handled the sabotage." "This is different," Lyriel replied. "Someone is planning carefully. We are being watched." They quickly traced the source of the interference. A hidden compartment in a maintenance bay contained a small device, unfamiliar to Azari engineers. Ethan recognized it as human-made, stolen technology. Someone inside the base was helping outsiders. Lyriel frowned. "This is dangerous. The extremists have allies inside. We must act fast." "I weigh 1. Ethan nodded. "We cannot trust anyone completely. We need to check every access point, every log, every person who handled systems in the last week." They worked together, moving through the ship quietly, checking rooms and questioning technicians. Ethan's human logic and observation skills paired with Lyriel's understanding of Azari behavior. Small details, the flick of a wrist, a glance, hesitation, revealed possible traitors. Finally, they discovered a small group of Azari officers and human mercenaries who had conspired to attack the summit again. Their plan involved stealing stealth drones and boarding the royal shuttle, aiming to kill Lyriel and blame humans. "So they want to make us appear weak," Ethan said. "They want chaos and death. We must stop them." Lyriel nodded. "We must strike carefully. If we act too early, they will hide. Too late, and it will be deadly. Timing is everything." Over the next days, they prepared. Ethan suggested human tactics, small teams, careful traps, and using the enemy's assumptions against them. Lyriel coordinated with loyal Azari forces, moving ships quietly and adjusting schedules to mislead outsiders. The bond allowed them to react quickly to small signals. They could sense tension, fear, and decision-making before words were spoken. During this time, their relationship began to shift. Ethan saw Lyriel not as a distant princess, but as someone under pressure, responsible for an empire. Her silver eyes often revealed more than she intended: worry, pride, and a desire to act wisely. Lyriel saw Ethan not as a young, inexperienced human, but as someone brave, clever, and capable of independent thought. She began to trust his judgment in ways even her advisors did not. One evening, they sat in a quiet observation room. Stars shone beyond the viewport, cold and distant. "I never thought I would be on a ship like this," Ethan said. "I thought my life would be simple. Training, duty, maybe a long career on Earth. Instead, I am here, chosen, bonded, expected to act for humans and aliens alike." Lyriel smiled faintly. "Sometimes life chooses for us. We cannot escape it. We only decide how we act within it." He looked at her. She considered the question. "I chose you because you see things differently. You adapt. You survive. Strength is not only in muscles or skill, it is in mind and heart. You may not realize it yet, but you are strong in ways others are not." Ethan felt a warmth he could not explain. It was not pride, not love, not yet, but something like understanding. He realized that the arena, the pointing, the declaration, it had all led to this. He was not a pawn. He was a partner, learning, growing, and becoming more than he had been. Just then, the alarm sounded again. Another interference, another breach attempt. Ethan felt a sharp pull through the bond. "They are testing us," she said. "We cannot ignore this." They moved quickly, coordinating teams to catch the saboteurs. Ethan used his knowledge of human stealth tactics, laying traps and observing patterns. Lyriel used her authority to control ship systems and organize loyal Azari forces. Together, they cornered the conspirators in a maintenance bay. The mercenaries tried to fight, but the combination of human ingenuity and Azari strength overwhelmed them. The extremists were captured, and the stolen devices secured. The threat was not completely gone, but the immediate danger had passed. Breathing heavily, Ethan and Lyriel stepped outside the maintenance bay. The stars were bright, calm, and distant. "We survived," Ethan said quietly. "For now." Lyriel nodded. "We must be ready. They will try again, but now we know how to act together." Ethan looked at her and realized something he had not before. He respected her courage and intelligence. She had not only survived attacks but had guided him, trusted him, and allowed him to contribute in meaningful ways. The bond was more than ritual. It was a connection that helped them survive and think as one. "We will stop them," he said, determination rising in his voice. "Not just survive, but win. Together." Lyriel's eyes softened. "Yes, together." And for the first time, Ethan felt the true weight of being the princess's bonded champion. It was dangerous, unpredictable, and terrifying, but it was also a chance to prove himself, to protect, and to rise beyond what he had imagined possible. The galaxy was watching, and they were ready to face it, side by side.